Hi, fifth grade. This is Miss Montgomery from Three Trails. It's going to be our last day of working on multiplication with decimals and whole numbers. Yesterday, we ended with a word problem, so we're going to check that today together. But before we get started, let's do a math joke. So your joke for today is, do you know what seems odd to me? And the answer is numbers that aren't divisible by 2. If you have been working on the Greg Chang Spring Challenge, go ahead and pause this video and go work on that now. Remember to complete 1 square a day, and you can always move on to level 6 if you finish level 5. So go ahead and grab out your work from yesterday. The last problem we were going to go over together. I'm going to start by bar modeling it, but if that doesn't make sense to you, remember you can solve in a way that does make sense to you. So it says Taylor earns $8.50 per hour as an assistant in an auto repair shop. How much will Taylor earn if she works 4.5 hours on Friday? So what are we talking about? We're talking about money. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to draw my starting line. Now I know that in this problem it says that Taylor earns $8.50 per hour and she is working 4.5 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 4.5 boxes. I'm going to try to make my boxes the same length, but it's okay if they're not perfect. And I've got 850 here, 850 here, again. And then I know half of 8 is 4 and half of 50 cents is 25 cents. So my last hour is going to be 4.25. So this would be hour number 1 all the way through hour number 4. Oh, kind of messed that up there. 4. And then this is the half hour. So as you can see, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be multiplying $8.50 times 4.5. Now thinking about what does 4.5 mean, and can I write that as a decimal? And I can write that as a decimal. I can write it as 4.5. So when I solve this problem, if that visual makes sense to you, some of you might even use repeated addition to solve that problem, which is totally fine. When I'm adding, make sure that I line up my decimal so that my place value is aligned. So if that's you using repeated addition, I've got that decimal aligned for when I'm adding. If you're ready to use multiplication, I can go ahead and do $8.50 times 4.5. Remember that 0.5 is the same as a half. So once again, I'm going to cover up that 4 because I'm only focusing on my ones. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to carry that 2. 5 times 8 is 40. Plus 2 is 42. Now I'm ready to move on to my tens place. So I'm going to X out everything in my ones place, including what I carried. Because I'm working in my tens place, I have to add a 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 5 is 20, and I'm going to carry that 2. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 2 is 34. And now I'm ready to add. Now, it would not make sense for me to say that my answer is 38,250 because I'm talking about money. In my original problem, I had 850 times 4.5. So I had 1, 2, 3 decimals that were behind. Sorry, I had 1, 2, 3 digits that were behind my decimal place. So I need to make sure that I have 1, 2, 3 digits that are behind my decimal place in the answer. And so that would bring me to $38.25. Okay, so your work that you're going to do on your own today is just 3 problems. So you can pause the video now and you can read those problems and show your work on your paper. Remember, you can use a bar model or you can solve in a way that makes sense to you. We'll see